Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shah Bashmi Al-Kak Double honor to the apostles of the great millstone, and as well as giving you brothers your deserved salutations for forwarding this truth worldwide. Shalom to the Yakim Waqwaf Yam on the side of support. We say what we do, most importantly, take heed. And this is your brother Laban coming at you with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be speaking on this migration crisis, which has been going on for a while. Let me get this out the way. And if it's going on for a while, just been watching a little bit of Redacted, right? And they going into it. I'm going to finish this though, because it's quite interesting. But all of this migration stuff, man, you know, we know that this is all done by purpose for one thing and for one thing only, to bring in the new world system, and that is to collapse the economy, to collapse the old world system. And what I want to do is I just want to go into some history and showing you that even back in ancient Rome, you had this problem, especially around a time of, as they have it, you know, a lot of historians point to the time period of 200 AD, but they're now calling it, before the Christian era, right? Which is, to be exact, which happened in the western part of Rome. Like the Apostle Tahar, speaks about this as I catch the live that the apostles do, and they'll bring up the topic of the different parts of Rome, how you had Jake, dominating more of the eastern part of Rome, and the western part of Rome, Esau was dominating that, but that part of Rome was declining due to these different problems. And one of the problems that I'm getting into is the invasions of the tribes. All right. So let's read the book of, first of all, was Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 9. This reads, "The thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." Exactly, because this is the second part of the ancient Roman Empire that we're now involved in. So what happened in ancient Rome is going to happen in this Rome. And, I can go over many different topics, but the topic that I want to get into is this migration issue, and connecting it to what was called the barbarian invasion, which happened at that time. So now let's get into this, man. So this reads on the barbarian invasion, the movements of the Germanic peoples, which began before 200 BCE, lasted until the early Middle Ages, destroying the Western Roman Empire in the process. Together with the migration of the Slavs, these events were the formative elements of the distribution of the peoples in modern Europe. The Germanic people originated about 1800 BCE from the superimposition of battle axe people from the corded ware culture of Middle Germany on the population of the megalithic culture on the eastern North Sea coast, which megalithic means mega stone, right? And if I'm correct, this goes into what? Because we know that the word lithic means stone, right? Which they tell you right there, new stone age. So that's what that goes into. I knew that's where it was going. Which, that's just all BS. That's not even really something that we're gonna consider in history, because that's some prehistorical stuff right there. So anything that involves prehistoric, that's going into something else. That's going into that false science, so called. All right, that Esau has come up with to confuse people. All right, so we're just gonna get to the point. See, they got the Iron Age and stuff like that. Anyway, let's just get and read this part over here, because I just want to get to the point in showing you that in ancient Rome, you had these issues. In a sense, the Roman Empire had been already barbarized before the barbarian invasion began in earnest. Land left vacant by the dwindling Roman population was colonized by immigrants, Germans and others, from beyond the frontiers, and the Roman legions were largely recruited from Germans and other non-Romans, and some of whom even rose to the imperial purple. And the reason why I'm reading this as well, because I was going into this some time ago, man, in regards to this topic of the migration. It was years ago, man, and I remember I was on a particular website, very good website that goes into this history, man. And they were basically saying in the history that even people's lives were being affected by it. And people had a problem with it, of course, right? Because it had an effect on opportunities, jobs, you name it, right? The ways of life for the people, economically as well. And as well as you have today, I'm going to get back to this, but I just want to just speak on what's going on right now with the people, how people feel about this. Of course, people don't take a liking to this. Americans don't take a liking to this. And as well as what's going down here in the UK, they're predicting that there's going to be a record of probably over 1 million people which are going to come in this country at a pre-Brexit time period. All right. The numbers is going to be like, because I remember too, man, like around maybe 2017, around them times, there was a lot of people from different countries, man, that was down here in London, especially. I remember it, man. You know, because I used to always go to the tube stations and you know, to get to my camp and everything. So I remember, man, it was like a whole lot of people, to the point where like you had to wait to get on the other train. And sometimes what I would have to do, I would have to like wait to catch. I would miss 2 trains by purpose because it was just too flooded. And I would go probably get on a 3rd train that would come on my way to camp, you know? So yeah, you know, we're probably talking around maybe 2017, 2018, something like that, man. Around that time period. Like with around the same time when Brexit was just coming in. So yeah, what they're predicting here is that there's going to be more people coming in, which will go over the amount of people that was down in the UK, or down in London to be exact, pre-Brexit, the pre-Brexit era. Okay, so now let's get back into this history. I don't want to confuse myself and confuse those that are watching this as well. So let's get back into this. Salakia for that. Yeah. So this reads, some of whom even rose in imperial purple. Thus, in the end, the Roman emperor, with his guards and his households, ruling over an empire exploited to fill his treasury, was essentially indistinguishable from those barbarian chiefs with whom he clashed. The migration of the Germanic people were in no way nomadic, nor were they conducted in mass. Many people of the migrating groups remained in their original homelands or settled down at points along the migration route. Even before 200 BCE, which is 200 AD, the first Germanic tribes had reached Lower Danube, where their path was barred by the Antagonid dynasty of Macedonia, or Macedonia, some will say. At the end of the 2nd century BCE or AD, migratory hordes of Cimbri, if I'm pronouncing that word correctly, it's either Cimbri or Cimbri, Teutoni and Ambrose penetrated the Celtic Illyrian lands and reached the edge of the Roman frontier, appearing first in Carinthia, 113 BCE, then in southern France, and finally in Upper Italy in 102 BCE. The Romans rout the Teutoni and destroy the army of the Cimbri in the following year. So just to, simply bring the point and showing you that this has happened before in the first part of the Roman system, which I want to read this too. This is Revelations 13 and 12, right? Where this reads, and he exercised of all of the power of the first beast before him, and caused of the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed, which is referring to the ancient Roman Empire. And this beast has come back in effect, and we're now under the same beast, which is the Roman Empire. All right, so all of these heads which were Caesars at once upon a time have come back in a reincarnation, and took their lot in erupting or bringing back this system. And the way that they're operating the system is how the ancients did it, of their ancestors, which their ancestors coming back in the reincarnation that governed the first part of Rome, in the way of having the Senate houses, and within the Senate houses you would have your patricians and the other party, I forgot their name, right? And those parties would vote in their leaders or their Caesars who they deem to be correct for them. And as well as you have it right now, you have the Democratic Party in America and the Republican Party, which basically means the same thing. The Democratic Party means the people rule. Republican means back to the people. It's the same thing, right? And it's really parties that the government formulated to give people this idea of people have their own form of democracy or power, and they can make changes when in fact that's just a lie. Okay, those two parties are just there to persuade people or to have people believe that they're included in the system when in fact the system controls the people and persuades them and gives them candidates, makes people feel that they get to call on who they want to be their prime minister or their president, when in fact the powers that be present these politicians before them and sway the mentality of the people by using media. So it seems like people have an idea of who they want to be in office, and it's through their idea that, yeah, this is what's going to work. Like I said, it's just all BS. And that's what was going on in ancient Rome. You had different Caesars that came and did their time, and then the next Caesar would come in and lead. Okay, and it was all by the behest of this so-called thing called democracy, which they used that in ancient Rome. The whole party thing came from ancient Rome. So that's what it means that he exercised of all of the powers of the first beast before him. And as well as what they did in ancient Rome, which the only thing that I can remember that, history points out is that, and I'm talking about the psychological operations in this case, which the only psychological operation that I can think of right now is what happened during the time of Nero. And what Nero did, Nero blamed the burning down of this building on the Christians so that eventually he could persecute them. Okay, and I mean, I'm pretty sure that if we were to dive in a little bit more deeper, if I was to do that, I would find things such as that nature where they probably were other psychological operations, but that's the main one that I can really think about at this present moment. So the point of the matter is that the powers that were and that are here right now are exercising all of the power of the first beast, which came before him. Okay, so this is nothing more than the second part of the ancient Roman Empire, and they're doing the same thing that they did in the ancient Roman Empire. Okay, that the world would worship this beast, the revival version of the Roman Empire that we're now under. Okay, and that explains why a lot of things are going on that already happened back then. We could talk about the debasing of the denarii. And what do we have here today? We have what? The inflation of the dollar, which has been going all the way back since 2007. They've been doing this quantitative easing. 1, 2, 3, and 4 to infinity. QE, I think is what? QE1? I said it wrong. QE1, QE2, QE3 to infinity. And then you also have these nations that are joining the BRICS, disregarding the dollar even more. So that's bringing more of the dollar down to, a weaker place. So when the dollar's weak, or if a currency is weak, you have what you call inflation. All right? You have inflation where prices of goods go up because you're using a weak currency. So what I want to also get into in reading is something else. Let me see if I can find another precept too, man. Let's go and get another scripture here. Then I'm gonna close this out because I think I've said what I had to say and getting to the point and showing you that pretty much this ain't nothing new, man. Like, I think what these devils have done, they've went back in history, took a page, looked at a particular page in history and used that so that they can pretty much forward their agenda, man. And their agenda is to formulate a one world system. And that's that. So they have to destroy the old one, which ain't working for them anymore. So yeah, let me see if I can let me think. Mm. Yeah, let's get this. Let's get Psalm 60. What is it? Psalm 64, right? Psalm 64. Uh Psalm 64 and verse 5. They encourage themselves in an evil matter, and they commune of laying snares privately, and they say, who shall see them? And they search out iniquities, and they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. And this is the scripture that comes to mind, because what they want to do is they want to destroy people's lives, and if possible kill a lot of people in the process of forwarding a world order where they have full control of the population. And that is what? An evil matter. So the lifestyle that people had, the comfortableness that people were under, they want to take that away from a lot of us so that they can move forward to their own agenda in their own selfish ways. Okay? But as it is written in the book of Job, what is it? The 5th chapter, that the Lord will take the crafty in his own craftiness. And even though these devils are doing as they may, but really the Most High got them in their own mindset to sabotage their own world, of this idea of gaining more and more of what they already have, which is the power over the people, and as well as the resources that they got. Okay, so this is why they're doing all of this stuff, the migration thing, and as well as debasing the currencies and et cetera, and this war on terror, you name it. And all of this is going to lead to the ending of this system, because this is all evil that they're doing. It's all in regards for the greater good for them, and a greater evil for the masses of the population. It's all about them. All right. But through their evil, as it is written, wrath shall slay the silly one. And they will come down having great wrath, just so that they can do what it is that they got to do selfishly. So the Lord is going to eventually destroy them using their own evil, wicked inventions, and their own wisdom is going to destroy them. Okay, because what? Knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. And that's all I'm going to say with this right here. I think I've made my point quite clear on this. I just wanted to bring out some points and showing you brothers that, look, this has already happened before. And this proves once again that this is the second Roman Empire that we're under right now. This ain't no made up society that just came out of nowhere. This is what this is, the second part of the ancient Roman Empire. And we are under an empire which is a part of the statue that Daniel was elaborating on. And the part of the statue that we're in is the among the 10 toes, which the 10 toes represents those 10 major nations which the beast came from, which begun in Europe. Okay? So that's all I'm going to say. So with that, I'm going to close. Shalom.